Episode of Craig Plays Games. I am your host, Craig, and we are here on our 23rd video of the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy as we play through this is just the first game in the series of the game that we have. We are still on episode 5. We are now moving on to part number 6, the second half of the trial, as we call Officer Jake Marshall to the stand. Before we dive into that, though, let's get our plugs out of the way. You are checking us out here on YouTube at Craig Plays Games. Feel free to like the videos if you've been enjoying what we've been doing so far. Hit that subscribe button up at the top if you want to be part of our family, and then go ahead and hit that notify bell if you want to be made aware of when we go live with a new video. On average, we have a new video on our YouTube channel once per day. You can also check us out on Twitch at Craig Plays Games. From there, we do about 4 streams a week. Those streams are pushed over to our YouTube channel, so you can definitely either check them out live or recorded. Over there, we play a multitude of online or multiplayer type games. So hit that follow button over there. You'll be made aware when we go live. You can come and hang out with us in the chat room. It's designed to be interactive for everybody. Then over at Twitter, we are at Craig Plays Games. That's where we post updates to our schedule and general commentary, and we're interactive over there as well. So hit that follow button, tweet at us, and we'll definitely respond back to you. So that being said, let's dive back on in as we continue our journey into the trial of Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye. As we're definitely about to find out some more about the SL9 incident as Officer Jake Marshall comes to the stand. All right, back in the courtroom. Courtroom now reconvened. Emma didn't come back. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand, the officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. As he just drinks. Okay, come on. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Today. Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trails of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed? Yes, we get it. Oh, I know, you're a patrolman. As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind calling it out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind? I've never heard Edgeworth described that way before. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? A desperado's soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up. Okay. Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime. Yeah, that'd be great. In plain old English. Witness testimony. My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at the street side saloon at the time it went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. Okay. I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Wow. Wait a minute, what do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks on the evidence lockers? Fingerprint-activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? Not being helpful at all. You're not that good with machines or with following orders. Everyone's got their weaknesses now, don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. Much appreciated. Cross-examination. My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Let's push there a little bit. But you made your rounds on the day of the crime, right? Ain't you heard a word I said, partner? I told you that ain't my style. Okay? Afraid I don't understand. No desperado I know lets rules get in his way. No desperados I know join the police force. So, on the day of the crime, just between you and me, I didn't set foot in the evidence room that day. There was a rubber glove stuck in the victim's locker. Do you know anything about that? Sorry, partner, I can't say I do. I haven't been in that crypt in weeks. How does this guy avoid being fired? Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems. Anyway, I remember right, I was at the street side saloon at the time it went down. What were you doing in a place like that? I was eating spaghetti. Not even Angel's steak lunches can beat that parlor's Vongole sepia pasta. You mean to tell us you abandoned your police duties to eat some noodles? Not all desperados eat tacos, partner. That's not what I meant. I hope this has at least taught you a lesson. That's strange. This is usually where Edgeworth says, Did you not want to raise this year? I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. Now, you say you were there, but we have some fingerprints that say otherwise. Possibly. Where's the fingerprint? Oh, that says Marshall's fingerprints. Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd, that is, you being called in to testify like this? After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime, and yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene, or to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects, that is, make my rounds about once a month. Once a month? It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there. I only wish it were. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Witness, what's the meaning of this? Your blood-stained fingerprints were at the crime scene? The blood was wiped away. However, a luminol test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall? Seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders. What? I take it you have an explanation then? About the blood-stained fingerprints? Very well, you may begin your testimony about your fingerprints found at the scene of the crime. Witness testimony. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in the evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the blood-stained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See, I had nothing to do with it. Hold up. The witness' explanation appears valid. Guy's hiding something. Now is my chance to prove it. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room, is it? That's because you, how did you put it, pay your respects once a month? Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine. What? What do you mean? I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still use. All that's in there now, though, is a heap of broken dreams. Let's see, it'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently, his fingerprint data was never removed from that locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without ever knowing it. One of them just happened at the same place as the bloodstained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? How do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. There was a bloodstain at the scene, thought to be left by the murderer. That's right. It was found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint. Oh yeah, I think we tried that too. So that would mean the murderer, wearing gloves, happened to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint. That's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? This seal of blood in the desert is just food for the buzzards. What? There's only one reality, and that's this. The security tape. So long as my trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise. This isn't getting us anywhere. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination. Now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall. Too bad it wasn't me and that partner, right? That video, right, partner? What do you mean by that? You want to tie me to this crime, isn't that right? If so, that video... But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots? Places you can't see. The camera is panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape. We don't have time for your speculations. Well, can you show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present? Please do so now. Let me point out your mistake. Tread carefully or you might end up being the one making the mistake. Let's have another look at that video. Hold up. This is his locker over there. There's nothing hanging out there right now. Bum, 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 bum. There's the fight. Nothing. Nothing. Bam. Oh, stop. Oh my goodness. This is annoying. There we go. Alright, something there all of a sudden. Bringing our attention back to the security camera is a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon not forget. The days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video. Exactly 8 words. Not bad. The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. That locker with the white claw sticking out, that's what the witness is, I believe. Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. Let's see. Need the cloth to be there. Not there right now. Perfect. The crime took place, if the white cloth wasn't there, then it suddenly appeared. One explanation only. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened the locker when the camera was turned away. Hold your horses. Sorry, partner, but you got the wrong man. So what if my locker was open? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. You need to hide something, and so you picked my locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he opened the choose mine. Why does everyone stare at me like I'm a wanted man? He really doesn't know, does he? He's just clueless. Hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who could open that locker. I'll call your bluff. You say open the locker, now prove it. Well, we do have something, I think, that can prove it. Not that. Where is it? Keep going. There we go. Evidence locker. That will do it. A fingerprint sensor. We talked about this earlier today. Lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. Detective Gumshoe definitely helped out here. The locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people on the force that don't know about the locks. Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less? I only got 1 word for you. No! I love it when people start to lose their cool. Got no idea what to do. Bam, bam, bam. Order. Witness, explain yourself. If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard. I assure you this is no joke. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What is he now, a bullfighter? That's alright, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure the rest out from here. Okay? Have a look at these 4 plans. There's no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall. That's so, then where was the witness? Seems Mr. Wright has an answer. That's right, the only possible conclusion. Well then, let's hear it. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime? He was here. Officer Marshall was standing right here. There, but that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was. Correct, unless the man wasn't Goodman. I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall. It was you, dressed up like Detective Goodman. But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed a detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure. Now, may I point out, though, that Meekins did not know him. He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. When I entered the evidence room, I asked him to show his card. Yes, and how did he respond? He suddenly pulled a knife on me. So something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it? Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it. The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you can see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Oh, I get it. If he showed that, his cover would have been blown. Meekins would have realized the man wasn't Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this? You've got quite an imagination. We've got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial? He's still denying it. You're going to have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving I dressed up as a victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Do you have any evidence proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim? Well, am I kidding? I don't have anything like that. I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat. So obviously, what can I do? It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you've run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. Basics. For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Try thinking outside of the box. I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise. But rather, I should look for evidence that came about because he was in disguise. Why do you think this locker was open in the first place? What do you mean? There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime, yet he did, despite the chance it might be discovered later after it has been, which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker. According to the defense's argument, Officer Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. What's that white cloth? The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate he opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So, just what exactly is this piece of cloth? Perhaps the video is the key to all our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so this video is my only shot. Very well, let's take a look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness had to open it. Okay. No, that says bullhorn on every time, I guess. What do we see in all this? Is it a bloodstain? For some reason, you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman and enter the evidence room, though I don't know to what end yet. However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. A bloody white coat. You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, partner. Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now would we? So Marshall, tell the court what you did, all of it. Alright, it seems the time has come. Witness testimony. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I saw the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Meekins. I knocked him out and managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on the camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. How could that be? Meekins managed to get his own hand. My guess is he's the donor. It was way too much blood for such a small donation. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. When you say it, you mean, do you even have to ask? That's how 9 incident. 2 years had passed since that case was closed. It was going to completely end with that transfer of that day. Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over. What did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? When a case is closed, only that case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time, no matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner, that case is mine. But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much about it? That day was my last chance. That's why I saw the detective ID and dressed like him. Okay, press him there. Why did you disguise yourself as Goodman? If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transfer, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera. And the detective's ID card? I stole that the morning of the incident. So that really was why he started filling out that lost item report. Returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot. The ID card I found was left there by Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean, the fingerprint activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that locker yourself. You could because a rubber glove just happened to get stuck in the door. That means Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out. You pulled a knife on him and tried to drive him off? Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Meekins certainly is a 1 in a million type of person. Mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID. I'll have to think a little more about his raise this year. Yeah. Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry it had to turn out that way, with me knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say. So you knocked Meekins out and managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on camera. So you did your research. Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long. I didn't think it would make a difference though. The security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat in your struggle with Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Meekins doing there in that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is on that day, there wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. The blood found at the scene certainly indicates a crime took place. What are you, blind? The victim shown on that tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker? Actually, no I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. What? Still missing. So the locker's already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away. It's a free country, just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing of a detective's ID, injuring a police officer? This is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. You can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Like I said, this isn't your case. This one is mine. And I'll do everything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. I can't just forget the SL9 incident. You know why? Why? But that case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it? And that's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joe Dark was convicted for his crimes. One thing I can say for sure is he deserved his sentence. I remember the case. It involved 0 murders, didn't it? I don't intend to complain about how it turned out, but there's something that still bothers me. Something went down at that trial. Something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think his real reason is. I had a feeling we'd wind up here sooner or later. Alright, and everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. I better take a look at the files. Alright, let's take a look. Perpetrator Joe Drake, criminal crime, 0 murder, sentence death. Edward Jones, Edith Kirby, Jet Bates, Jason Knight, Rachel Moss, Neil Marshall. Witnesses Lana and Emma Sky, and Prosecutor Miles. Oh my goodness, I hate when it does that. Alright. Let's go through. I cannot imagine. There we go. Present. And present. So, Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice. I have the SO9 incident file here. The name, Marshall, is mentioned in here. And a list of murder victims. You're related to this man? Neil Marshall? Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the name. 2 years ago. You received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. What? Prosecutor? He must be talking about the King of Prosecutors Award. Now I remember. He handled the SL9 case. That's right, he was killed and the case fell into your hands. What's his relation to you? He was my brother. He was investigating the murders with Damon Gant, the then Deputy Chief of Police. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Who was that guy? Joe Dark. My brother fought Dark and was killed. That was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed, at least according to the public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it? That's your reason for your insane actions? There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me. Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime. That was the last day the SN9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with his resolution, Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. Things that happen by chance never cease to amaze. Exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance. It's got to be more than just that. It's definitely not a chance. So if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor office's parking lot was a real one. Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Lana Skye. Wait, a verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial. Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today. But there's only one reason the defendant wasn't convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. Seems to me this boy's got the draw on you. All the mysteries at the police department have been resolved, no doubt about it. Our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Skye. The testimony of one Miss Angel Star is completely incontestable. If you have a response, make it a single word or less. I rest my case. Seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Miss Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time disproving the alleged murder at the police department. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera's tape really was fake. But I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana guilty. Now then, the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant. Hold it. What? Where did Emma come from? Your Honor, wait. Emma, the defense has an objection. A scientific objection, right? What do you mean, right? Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor? Oh, in a sense. All I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dark killings. Now that she mentions it, the names of both Skye sisters were in that file. That's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing, the other handprint. I mean, the traces of blood found in Detective Gumshoe's locker, but no fingerprints were found on it, right? No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So I went over there and looked at it again. Did you find something? No. What? Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please don't be mad, I'm just a high school student, and I'm just an attorney. But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If we can't find something wrong with them, please, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you. Me. Oh boy. Time's up. Now then, Miss Wright, with regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? Appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. At the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Sorry I can't be of more use, but still. If you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be. Please answer my question. We don't have all day. If ever I've needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with that handprint in Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? There is, because the badger was covering up that locker. The only thing that seems clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright. You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, it's a strange. Take a look at these floor plans. Something is missing. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there? Yes, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well. With all this evidence here, there's got to be something I can use. The question is, which item can prove something is missing in the floor plans? That. What about that piece of plywood? The Blue Badger, mascot of the police force, defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself. Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The Blue Badger is not here. So watch what happens when you put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well, what? That's right. So long as the Blue Badger is dancing there, it would be impossible to place a handprint at this spot on the locker. So that means what? It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood traces are undeniably found on that locker. Take it through scientifically. On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the Blue Badger to the evidence room, right? After we put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that means this blood mark was left there before the Blue Badger was brought in. It may sound far-fetched, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is, the other time. Someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been. Had to have been. Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim. The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker. So then, assuming this murder you really happened, when did it take place? Demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Meekins being cut by Marshall, who was posing as Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. That's right, the blood mark on the locker proves this. Hurry and tell us, when did this first incident occur? As Edgeworth said, proof must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defense please present evidence? Or shows when the first crime took place? Where's that record? We have one more time missing. Whoever was 7777777. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it. In order to do so, an ID card would have been required. Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see here, 4:50. The crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 p.m. Edgeworth, just what have you done? I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminol test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Meekins and Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Let's look at the chart again. There's only one other card number remaining. How about a lucky number? Wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 7777777. Find out whose ID number is that. That's 172 too many, Your Honor. Fortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card, at least at present. What? Explain yourself. The number belongs to someone with a rank of captain or higher, someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity. But that's ridiculous. Just how I'm not finished talking. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted. Official charge. You're all like, aren't you, with your cover-ups and your forgeries? That's how the prosecutor's office operates. I take pride in my work. I would appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay, let me ask a question. To her, the defendant sitting over there, your own little executive. Lana? Don't be stupid, she's been charged with murder. Of course we looked up her ID number, and it's not this. Don't play me for a fool, that's not what I want to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident. Tell me this, in that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Whoa. Do you need the witness to repeat his question? I heard him fine. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. That time we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least I did. I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. I ask you again, during that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look at me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say that you did? I don't have to, Officer Marshall. What? Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. Even if it involved forging evidence. Everybody's in shock. See? That's what I'm talking about. No. To be continued. Man, this case is getting crazier and crazier by the minute. That being said, thank you so much for hanging out with us as we continue our playthrough of the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy. Next time, we'll be on video number 24 as we continue through episode 5. You've been watching us here on YouTube at Craig Plays Games. Feel free to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. Hit the subscribe button if you want to become part of our family. And hit that notify bell if you want to be made aware when we release a new video. On average, we release a new video once per day between our exclusive YouTube series as well as our live Twitch streams. Over on Twitch, you can find us at Craig Plays Games, where we do 4 live Twitch streams a week, playing a multitude of online or multiplayer games. You hit the follow button over there, and you'll be made aware when we go live. So that means you can come hang out with us in the chat and just chat and have a good time. You can also find us over on Twitter at Craig Plays Games, where I post updates to our schedule as well as general commentary. And if you follow us over there, shoot us a tweet. We'll definitely respond to you. That being said, thank you so much for your time. We'll see you here again soon at Craig Plays Games.